This is the voice of freedom. We are not one voice. We are many. We are your voice. But we can only be effective if you use your voice. Your voice. This is the voice of freedom. We will not hide from the truth. We will ask the hard questions until we are sure we have the truth. Welcome to the voice of freedom, where your voice will never be silenced.
Well, it can be silenced, as it turns out. If the power goes out, you've got nothing to keep yourself running with. Bit of an issue. But anyway, that was last night's problem, not tonight's. Thank you, Lord. What tonight's problem is melting. My God. I don't know where you are. I know it's been warm in all parts of Australia, or a lot of parts of Australia. So wherever you are, all power to you. I have the fan going at helicopter power right now. So if you're hearing a bit of background noise, it's because I've got to get some airflow in this room. And if all else fails, I've got a Christmas present. It kind of works well if you hold it about here, which can sort of wound up feeling like a bit like a microphone. But I've got to say, somebody gave me that for Christmas, and it's going to come in useful tonight because I'm bloody melting. Wow, what an interesting few days it's been. So yesterday I got to spend some time with a wonderful gentleman, and we had a very enlightening talk. I found it from a personal point of view, a growth talk, if you like. I learned a great deal about myself, and I enjoyed it tremendously. So I would like to thank that gentleman very much for the time that he spent with me yesterday, and the conversations that we had. I've reflected on much in the last little while, especially last night, because I was racing home to get everything done, and then it didn't get done. So I got a little bit more time than I'd expected to reflect on it, which was great. Today, had a bit of a day today. I've been to the Sunshine Coast and back. I have been studying for the rest of the day. I have been watching videos, avidly watching videos. I have been taking notes, copious amounts of notes, because I really do believe that we all need to learn something about the new financial system that we keep talking about. Now, somebody asked me the other day, what is the QFS? And I said, oh, well, the QFS is the quantum financial system. Oh, that's Nasara Jasara. No, it's different to Nasara Jasara, but part of it. Well, Nasara Jasara is part of it. And that's about the time I discovered I really didn't know what the hell I was talking about. And for those of you regularly watching this program, you'll probably think, well, there you go. There's nothing so outlandish from that. So at any rate, that's that's my new focus of interest, because there are many people in our age group, our sphere, who have no idea about the quantum financial system, what that really means, how that works, what is blockchain, is Bitcoin involved, what the hell is XRP, XLR, XPR, ABC, FGE, I don't know, all these different things. What is a stabilized coin? Well, I discovered what a stabilized coin is today, and that is something called Stellar. Now, I'm not going to go into it because I've literally only scratched the surface on this, but I am hoping very soon that we will be able to chat with somebody who is much, much, much more involved on the background of it and can bring us up to speed. But if you are a member of my Facebook, you can go and check out my Facebook. I've posted a video there, which I think a lot of people, in fact, I might nearly even just see if I can bring it up briefly. Let me see. Scrolling. God, I've blown this screen up so I can show you something else. And it's, yeah, no, back the other way, Carl. Yeah, there we go. All right. Okay, I want, hang on now. Can I? Yeah, all right. Give me a second here. I'm going to paste the link in chat so that everybody can check out this video. Copy. Sorry, should have had that prepared a little bit earlier. So the video is all about the quantum financial system. I've just posted that up in chat now. the video is called the Quantum Stellar Initiative. It runs about 3 minutes. And if you want to indulge, I will quite happily share this for you if you haven't got Facebook. So give me 1 second here, and I shall see if I can bring it up. That'll be him right there. Let me blow that up and hit play. Have a listen to this. So there you go. Gives you a bit of an idea of exactly. Well, it's a bit wild now. I'll remove that and find the bloody screen it's on and hit pause. That'll make life a lot easier. So there you go. If you're looking to get a little bit more information, then maybe you should go along and check out that. I hope to get a lot more information out of that because it is a resource center, if you like, for anything to do with the quantum financial system, just about. You know me and numbers. It can be a bit of a pain in the head. I haven't got deep into that site at all, but I thought you'd get a little something out of that video at the very least, and you might be able to go out and find more about the QFS. Now, how do you get to something like that, that Quantum Institute? Well, you do remember back in 2020 that Donald Trump and a few friends got together and they effectively managed to regain control, whether it was given to them, how it was given to them. I don't know the ins and outs of that, but they gained control of the cabal's banking system. And that is the central banking system, the Fed in America, and the central banking system through Europe. And they cleaned it out. Now, that wasn't the end of it, because there are a very large amount of European wealth that needed to be found needed to be restored to the people. That has been done. That wealth has slowly been drawn out from the deep state coffers, and it's been used to try and prop them up in various different areas. And all through this period, the quantum financial system, the security systems, and all that sort of stuff, I believe, is being worked out in the background, sort of beta testing, I guess. And they might have been transferring bits of money here and there and doing small things here and there and doing different things in different countries just to make sure that the system, can work the way it works. I'm taking a bit of a look at some of my notes here because there is a bit of a progression in how things happened. And maybe not everybody is aware of it. There are a few things that if you are of a mind to go looking and searching, and I haven't been deep into these puddles today. I've really been watching a lot of videos around this quantum financial system, around blockchain. Now, if you want the easiest explanation I can find for blockchain, because it sounds like it's really important, and it is very, very important. But what is it? Well, it's a ledger. It's a ledger that cannot be altered. It is automatically created when you exchange anything in that crypto world. It cannot be changed. It is unalterable. That is what blockchain is, or at least the idea of that is that it is a impenetrable and forever keepsake that allows you to track everything. Blockchain can track everything. Now, that's where the coins come into it. Haven't quite got that deep into yet, and you've got to think of this in levels of different things. Stellar being a stable coin, I think, by stable coin, I'm guessing, because I haven't got that deep into the right video yet, obviously, but I'm guessing that means it is backed by something that is stable. Its price isn't going to fluctuate like we've seen other coins in the crypto world do. That would give it some strength. Now, it's not the only stabilized coin. It is, however, about the only one that I've found so far. I know that there are at least 5 others only through watching a couple of videos today. Now, get into this, folks. Start investigating this stuff, because I really do believe this is where our financial system is going. I know we've all been hanging out for the QFS and we're hanging out for Nasara Jasara. Well, I believe that the blockchain, the Stellar, and other crypto coins are currently flushing the system, for the want of a better term. And what they're doing is flushing out all the old money, all the old reserves, and there is quadrillions of dollars of it. And when I say quadrillions, that's got more zeros than billions of dollars and trillions of dollars. So they are flushing this money out, and because the deep state do not have access to the money presses anymore, they've got to go and try and drag gold or silver or assets or whatever it is. And when it comes to assets, you can asset just about anything in a coin. So make it saleable. Your house, for instance, might be a coin of a certain value when you buy it, but it depreciates over time or whatever happens that way, and it maintains its value. Now, when you sell that house, you exchange a coin. That coin is tracked on the blockchain, I beg your pardon. And so that transaction for that piece of land, who had it, all through history, is tracked. It cannot be broken. It cannot be broken into. It cannot be hacked. And it is forever. This makes rorting of systems very, very difficult, because you would be able to, as I understand it, encompass many assets in your crypto asset wallet. So if you've got lots of property, if you've got cars, if you've got maybe you've got art, I'm assuming at this point, I haven't heard about art, that you will be able to at some point put this into a crypto value, and once the flushing of the system is done, they will begin flushing the fiat money system, which is our money, and that means our banks, the money in our banks, as I understand it, are going to go across to the new quantum bank account that we will all have, will all be issued, and it will simply be a matter of you logging in and agreeing to use your quantum bank account to get access to the funds in it. And that was where any funds that people might be expecting, because there's been a great deal of promise about funds coming, all our taxes, I think, is one of them coming back, which, that's a bloody great thing. But not just that, every rate you've paid, everything they've taken from you illegally will be returned. That is supposedly the story. People are wondering about inflation. People are wondering about what's going to happen when we all get this influx of millions of dollars. I don't pretend to understand that yet, but I am working in the background to try and get the professional on who can explain this to us. And I know that some people have had some experience some years ago with Bitcoin or crypto in general. There was a story alluded to, I think, that happened about 3 or 4 years ago, where a lot of people got involved. I think it was a $250 buy-in, and all of them did their money. Somebody walked out of it very rich, but nothing really happened. Crypto, and that was my understanding of it, at least until I started really getting into it today. Crypto has changed a lot, and in the last 2 to 3 years, it's changed in quantum bounds, I guess is the best way to describe it. So essentially what the deep state have done is they have funded their own demise, because Donald Trump, using a legal, a very, very legal way of doing it, has been able to use the central bank and Fed funds to fund Nasara Jassara. And it's moving their funds out of where they can control the money and putting it into somewhere they can't, because it's turning it via coins, blockchain, associated other bits, and this is the bit I'm a bit shaky on. They turn it into a secure product that is trackable, 100% trackable. Now, I'm saying trackable like that, and it sounds also a little bit nefarious, but think of it from the point of view of you want to pay someone for something, a service, something you buy, and at the moment, it's got to go through 3 different middlemen who all clip the ticket on the way past and get their little slice. Well, that will be no more. Under this, it'll be, if you like, the easiest way to explain it would be like a peer-to-peer payment where I pay you directly, and this will happen instantly in the quantum realm. So we will agree to whatever price it is. You will give me I assume an account number, a wallet number, and I simply transfer money or the coin rather into that, and the transaction is done. There is no middleman in the banks. There's nobody sending your money over onto the short-term money market for 3 days so that while it accumulates with everybody else's that day, they might have $1 billion or more they can play with on the short-term money market and roll it over into a couple billion more before they've got to actually give you your money. Now, obviously, things like OSCO payments have made that less prevalent in the banking industry because we've caught them out on it. I mean, they can't have technology working both ways and still want you to wait 7 days for a check to clear. So, that's interesting little bits and pieces there. So I'm going to look pretty solidly at doing something on a very regular basis to do with the QFS, educational-wise. If you know nothing about it, or you think you know something about it and you can help me, then by all means, please get in touch. And I do know at least 2 people who have made themselves known to me, have been very successful in the crypto world, and both, I think, at various different times have tried to talk to me about it, and they can see that my eyes start to roll over a bit. Well, the videos that I've watched today have really opened my eyes, given me a lot of clarity to certain words that are used, because as you know, folks, I'm nothing if not about the words. So I've wanted to know with clarity what those words actually mean when they're using them in a financial sense or a financial term. So I've spent a bit of time doing that. And this all checks out 100%. I mean, 100%. It fits in line with everything you, me, and everybody else in this movement has been hearing about for the last 2 years. This is just the face of it beginning to be shown. So I really, really think that it is something we all need to learn about. We all need to understand, because at some point, I would say sooner rather than later, this is going to happen. And on Nasara Jasara, so I've heard a way that the money or the influx of money we are meant to get is going to be rationalized. It may not be that we wake up one morning, get a quantum bank account, and wake up with $44 million in it. All right, that may not be how it works, because to do that, you would run into a huge inflation problem. Like, it would kill the world. So some people would get very, very, very rich, and other people would be broke in a week. So that's not how this is working. It can't work like that, because it's simply going to put us back where we came from. So we have to look around and see how else it's going to work. Now, I believe it could work in an opposite way. What about if the $100 note that you've got in your hand, instead of having the buying power of what they claim $100 will buy you, and now with petrol going through the roof, food, fuel, everything going through the roof price-wise, then that $100 doesn't go very far, does it? What sort of level of value? In fact, I took this gentleman yesterday to do a little bit of shopping. He came back with 2 shopping bags, and it had cost him $80 for 2, not even what I would call remotely heavy or filled shopping bags. And no, he wasn't buying cigarettes or that sort of stuff. It was food. All of it was food, and it cost $80 from a bloody Coles. Now, I know my daughter and I run into Coles occasionally, and we spend money there. We know what it costs, but our $100 doesn't go near as far as it used to. Isn't that the way? So what if that $100 you have in your hand, when you wake up that morning and you've got a quantum bank account and you've got a bit of money in it, all your money from your normal account will have been flushed through into that system. What if that $100 note had the buying power of $800 to $1,000? Think about that. What effect would that have on the economy if that $100 note, instead of having the buying power of whatever the government tells you, has a buying power of $800, $900, $1,000, even if it's $500? How does that affect the economy? Bearing in mind that if this whole QFS thing plays out and Nasara Jasara works out the way, your bank account might well still have $44 million in it when you wake up that morning, or $10 million or $5 million or whatever it is. But what if that $100 buys $800 worth of value or $1,000 worth of value? What does that make your bank account truly worth? Will it drive up prices? No, I don't think it will. Will it drive up demand for things? Yes, it probably will. People will race out, they'll start buying things. But what if the things you're buying have dropped by that same level? What if you are, as we've heard, paying 1950s prices for cars, for houses, for other things, and basic normal services are free, like water, power? So I'm thinking that this is all very much tied in here, folks. And from what I've seen in the last 24 hours or so, I'm bloody dead sure it's coming. So got to learn something about it. Absolutely got to learn something about it. Otherwise, we're going to go in blind. We won't know what we're doing, and it'll all be quite a shock. So I'm not suggesting that I have it all right yet. Trust me, I am a newbie when it comes to anything like this. And I've always found it very difficult to take it in. But the videos I've watched today have been enlightening, easy to understand, and very, very, very educational. So we're going to talk more about the QFS. as we go on. And I have no doubt we can probably get into the history of how it was put together, how it works, how the security side of it works. There are interesting. I've learned a whole heap of new words today. Have you heard of things called smart contracts and pallets? Smart contracts and pallets. And I thought for a minute, well, no, I've never heard of anything called a smart contract or a pallet, other outside of a standard pallet meaning. It turns out that this has something to do with artificial intelligence and machine learning, and this is white hat controlled stuff. So keep an ear out. I'm going to try and explore that a little deeper too. And there are a couple of things that I've been advised to let people know about. Now, if you want to go and do a few searches to learn something of the, I guess, the hidden background to the QFS, go and search something called the Exchange Stabilization Fund. The Exchange Stabilization Fund, and well, I don't know to be able to get much research on this. It was through using this Exchange Stabilization Fund, which was essentially created after the Rothschilds and the British royal family and the Vatican and the European royals were all wiped out and have had their assets seized. All their hidden money has been found, and all their dungeons have been drained. A lot of bodies have been found. And in some cases, just a whole heap of bones. So it's been going on for centuries and centuries, folks. So once all that had been removed, it allowed the White House, obviously, to take control of the financial system. And then something to do with this Exchange Stabilization Fund. Get in that. Trump and a fellow called Munchin were involved with the legal use of all this money and how they've drained it out of the deep state, and they've used special purpose vehicles to do it, SPVs. Now, when I think or hear special purpose vehicle in this war, you know damn well I'm not thinking of a special purpose financial vehicle, but that is exactly what this is, and it is all tied in to that not just that one singular executive order, but there are a number, but predominantly 13848 is where the genesis for the quantum financial system has come from and gives him the power legally to do what he has done. Interesting times. All right, so more on that to come, because I've either got a lot more videos to watch and a lot more notes to take, and probably in clearer handwriting, if I'm honest, because I'm not in a comfortable position to tell you go out and buy anything, and not that I would do that anyway, but crypto does seem to be the way to go, and there are a number of coins that you should be taking notice of and learning about, and other systems within it like Stellar. And I hope, as I say, to have somebody with a lot more knowledge than me on in the not too distant future. Here is an interesting one coming out from WA. I think I saw something about WA passing a forced jab law. Anybody know about that perchance? I heard that a couple of weeks ago. I thought it was already in, and they were hunting people down, or maybe only certain people down. Thanks, Russ. Carl's been paid off by the Israeli tech companies. Beware. All right. All I'm doing is looking at videos and trying to get information. Nobody sent me a cent. Nothing. Truly nothing. Yeah. So if I'm somehow being paid off by watching videos and getting square eyes on stinking hot days, then I'm a rich man, because all I've been paid today is a bucket of sweat and stinging eyes. So yeah, no. Look, have I looked into all of this? No, I haven't. I've told you that. I've started today, but I've found it so interesting, and there is so many questions surrounding the QFS that I don't have any answers. So that's why it's important to get somebody in who knows what it is. So fingers crossed that'll all happen. We've got things are in chain. Is that maybe the easiest way of saying it? Yeah, now that's probably one of the best things. Christoph, our financial system isn't going to change until we change the system. Well, yeah, look, I agree with that to a certain extent. But the system we have to change is the dead asleep system. We need to be able to wake more people up to the truths of what's going on. A bit like what Guru was trying to do the other day with Ben Fordham. I hear that somebody sent me a text just before I came here that Ben Fordham has been attacking the movement again today. So I don't know what that's about. I'll have to go out and try and find a bit about that later on, because I haven't. Well, me and mainstream media, we don't really get along. So I'd be interested to see what is going on there. I'm not surprised though, because what happened the other day, a lot of people thought that Guru had done something that would embarrass the movement or would do bad things. Nothing further from the truth. Believe me, nothing further from the truth. There's been a lot happen in the background this week, not just with 2GB, but with other radio stations. And I think Dave's been on B105 in Brisbane. I haven't heard that interview. I would have thought somebody might have sent it to me. I'm not a listener. B105 is more of your little, bubblegum, 14-year-old girl kind of station. Not the kind of thing I listen to, but we'll see whether or not they put it on. I don't know how long his original interview went for. I'm sure they would have edited it. But it's how they edit it. Did they edit it kindly, or did they, and honestly, or did they try to make him look like a dick? So I don't know. And I hope it's not the latter. I really hope they gave him a go. So they're not bad. They're not bad people who did the breakfast show there. So there's half a chance they gave him a go. I hope that is the case. And you never know, folks. There might be more to come. Every crack in a damn wall starts with a very little crack, and that's what I was trying to get to the other night. Swing the pick, get the crack started. Other stuff happens, and Dave did exactly that. I think it's to be commended. Interestingly, too, it's brought out a whole interesting new level of viewer. Can I put it that way? It's also opened up some interesting lines of inquiry about how certain people get access to certain other people, who their mummy and daddy is. What did mummy and daddy used to do? Where were they connected to be able to get so connected to get the access that they managed to get? That's opened up a fairly raw wound, I can tell you. There is another front being fought on that one. And this, if Ben Fordham has opened up, I think might be a broadside based on that. They know what's coming, folks. They know. I've told them. Dave's told them. We may have told them differently, but in different ways. But they know. They have been told. I need to update my scroll. I've got Spiros in it. Oh, good on me. Okay, all right. I'll take that off. That's good. Yeah, righto. I do see that now. I beg your pardon. Righto. Moving on from the scroll then. Has anyone been to the bank and asked for a digital wallet? I don't know that you can go to the bank and ask for a digital wallet. I think that banks like digital wallets. As far as I know, you just have to go to the internet to ask for a digital wallet. But which digital wallet? There is the question. Now, I thought that Stellar was a wallet. It might be a wallet. I'm not sure. I know that Lobster is a wallet, but Lobster is also a meal. And my level of knowledge of one is greater than the other. I'll give you the drum. So, yeah, that's sort of where we're at. We need a little bit of help from somebody with much greater and respected knowledge. That is the key. No point in getting somebody on here who thinks they know what they're talking about when in reality they've just had a bit of good fortune somewhere along the line. No, I think we need to go much closer to the people who've, well, I don't know if they've been part of the design of it or the implementation of it or the testing of it or just the understanding of it. But we certainly know that they understand it. And I'm looking forward to getting into that. JJ, you're bragging. Crayfish for dinner. I don't know. There you go. Oh, hang on. Trevor's gone to me. Now, there you go. Ask Lobster. Ask maybe Ask's a wallet. Is that right? Ask, Lobster. Oh, okay. The Lobster wallet holds Stellar. Righto. Okay. So that means that maybe Stellar is where you hold all your assets. Think of it as your own personal unbreakable into bank. And then from there, using coins like XRP and the other ones, XLM, and a couple of other ones I think have been mentioned, then you can securely transfer your asset, whether that asset is a financial transaction or a physical transaction of a good rather than a service. So anyway, limited understanding, need to get somebody on who knows a lot more about it than me, but I was just excited to learn about it. So MetaMask is a wallet too. Right. So there are lots of, right. So how do you pick a wallet? Right? How do you pick what wallet is best for you? Is there an advantage to having a wallet? Is there a disadvantage to having a wallet? What are the security aspects? Do you go for a wallet that's got lots of security, or do you, go for something that's got a cool name? I don't know. So, yeah, anyway, we're going to get onto that. And we will be able to talk about it while we hit the road. Oh, God, speaking of hitting the road, we're hitting the road. I'm heading down to Canberra this weekend, and next week in Canberra there is going to be a very important conference. And Voice of Freedom's been asked if we'll stream it. So, very happily going down for that, and looking forward to it. It's happening at the Rex Hotel in Canberra next Tuesday night. If you happen to be in Canberra Tuesday night, come on down. There are a bunch of senators who are coming to speak. It's all for AMPS, the Australian Medical Professionals Against the Bullshit. And they've got quite a stellar lineup of speakers, government, private citizens, professionals who've lost their job because they refuse to be coerced into anything. And I believe there is going to be a couple of international guests, including Dr. Robert McCulloch. So it's going to be an interesting night, and that'll be next Tuesday night on the Voice of Freedom. We will do it on the Rumble channel rather than any YouTube channels, because I don't think AMPs are allowed on YouTube, and why bother getting another one blocked or kicked off? So we will do it on Rumble, and we will do it on Project Matilda. So that'll all happen from next Tuesday night at around 6:30, I think it is. We probably start a little earlier, 6 o'clock maybe, for viewers of Voice of Freedom. And it will be available through AMPS after that, as well as on the Rumble sites. So that's all coming up. Then we've been in contact with South Australia. We thought South Australia had some power problems and maybe some telephonic problems, certainly some internet problems. But apparently they just don't do much in January. But in February, they come alive and say, yeah, we're here. We want to do these shows. I know, it's more me than you. I'm just having fun with you. So South Australia, we're pushing back a little, maybe late February to March. We will be getting there simply because we want to give people enough time to be able to prepare and let people know that there's an event coming to town. If you want to come, we would love to have you there. And we might have the odd guest or two along, both online and in person, depending on where the shows are and where they are at the time. But I've got a lot of good friends in Adelaide and in and around Adelaide, and some of them are quite talented musicians. So fingers crossed, we might be able to get a little bit of a original music show happening out of South Australia too. If you are keen, get a hold of Cherie at vofhq.com, SHEREE at vofhq.com. Now, she is the lady who puts the jigsaw puzzle together to get me from where I am to where you are. So don't bother calling me and saying, yeah, we'd love that, Carl. Get a hold of Cherie, and we will make it happen. The plan is obviously to leave in the next couple of weeks. I'll go down to Canberra and do this show, and then we will pack up the car and head west, I guess is the best way of describing it. So Victoria, happy to come down through Victoria. I know we've got a few new My Places in Victoria along the Murray. We're very happy to come down there and see you guys if you're open for business after the floods. In fact, I know that the flooding has continued on down through South Australia, so hopefully we'll be able to bring a few stories from people there of how communities have come together and how My Place may have been able to help, although in South Australia we're burgeoning. Hello to everybody in Manning in South Australia. Congratulations on getting your My Place together. I saw the pictures the other night of your first exec meeting, I think it was, and I'm really looking forward to coming and having a quiet meal and a bit of a chat with you all there on the way through. And if we can put a show on in Manning, I'm all up for it. That looked like a pretty nice little pub or club you were in. So maybe we can do something there. Yes, would I come back to Toowoomba? Listen, I can come back to Toowoomba as soon as I come back from Canberra, Elizabeth Miller. Get a hold of Cherie at vofhq.com. Yeah, we can come back to Toowoomba anytime you like. If I'm in Queensland and you're within a few hundred kilometres of me, I can come to you tomorrow if that's what you want to do. I can't come to you, Toowoomba, tomorrow because other things. But, yeah, give us a little bit of notice and we can come. No worries at all. In fact, if we're going out that way, I know there are some people down towards Warwick who wouldn't mind catching up. And hello to Kerry, God love you, at Woolloongabba. We haven't been able to go and launch the Woolloongabba pub yet because the Woolloongabba pub is not a pub. It is a pub with no beer. That makes it a residence as far as I'm concerned, an empty one. But Kerry doesn't mind if you bring your own, and she's got a nice area you can sit around and drink at, I believe. And she's putting up some amazing signs every day, or best of every day, to try and wake up the community around there too. And she lives across the road from an army base. So we might even drive out to Woolloongabba and say g'day there. I know there are folks in Tamworth who are keen to get the Voice of Freedom come to town and see if we can't fire up a My Place there. I have heard that there is one maybe already in place, but it's not, if you like, one of the official ones. So if that is the case, well, no worries. We'll come and set up an official one. No problems at all. I haven't been to Tamworth in a few years. Beautiful part of the world, and 61 of the Donkey Sanctuary donkeys. No, 61. I might be exaggerating. She might have 61 left. There might be 18 of the original Donkey Sanctuary donkeys have been picked up for a show, which I believe has been on the Sunshine Coast recently, Horses and Through Fire or something like that it's called. And those donkeys are in fact training for some pretty big shows, and they have got a little star amongst them in May. So if you are going to the Royal Easter Show this year, you will see this show there, I believe, and quite possibly at others around the country. But it's so good. They spend a lot of time in Tamworth there at the Equine Centre. I think it's called ARLEC from memory, the Australian Livestock and Equine Centre. And it is a magnificent facility they've got down there. If you've never been, you're into horses and cows and that sort of stuff. More horses, I think. Then you'd be amazed. You can do just about anything there. Yes, Mount Gambier. Yep, would love to come to Mount Gambier, Nari. So Susie and Craig and Nari, get your heads together, see whether or not we can find a venue, and email Cherie. She'll tell you how easy it is to make this happen. And yep, we'll come in one end and out the other. I'm very happy to come around, do Robe if we want to do down the bottom. We might come in through the top. Maybe Mildura might be a place we could come along the Murray, do Swan Hill, Bendigo, maybe Swan Hill, Echuca, and then head from Mildura down into South Australia, back along the Murray there. So there could be a few venues there that might like us to come to town. And certainly if you need to get your message out, that's what this is all about. Tell us what your story is and we'll make sure we can tell it. If you need some help, let's see if we can help. We'll do anything that we can. So yeah, Mount Gambier, all good. My old stomping ground. G'day to the Gazzards. I don't know if the Gazzards have still got the car yard down there. I used to have to try and sell radio advertising to them many, many moons ago. I don't think they ever bought anything off me. I was a shit-house radio salesman, I got to tell you. Much better talker than I was a seller. Nothing safe on the net. They can switch it off. Yes. Okay. So if this is a reference to blockchain, QFS, all that sort of stuff, you're 100% wrong. I just can't explain why. There is security involved that means you cannot get ripped off if the net goes down or the power goes off or something weird happens. So you don't have to worry about that from a digital currency perspective, or at least a blockchain perspective, or a Stellar perspective, or a stabilized coin perspective, or a... Hang on, I've got a couple of other really cute names here. what were a couple of the other? Too hard. My writing's too difficult. Want to mention the Perth Mint quickly. I did put out a thing last week saying, well, geez, you can't buy gold off the Perth Mint. A lot of people from Perth rang me and said, you're an idiot, Liebold, because the Perth Mint works because it's behind times, can only buy gold and silver or precious metals when the markets are open, because the price is monitored and changed every, I think, 3 minutes. So Perth can't do that or don't do that on a 24-hour-a-day, 7-day-a-week basis. Therefore, you can only buy gold and silver and other precious metals through the Perth Mint during office hours, when I guess the eastern states they're monitoring are able to supply the gold price. So my apologies to anybody I might have spooked a bit about that. We did try and do a few other things. I haven't had much of a response from anybody about not being able to log into ABC Bullion and buy at the same time, and a couple of other little quirky things. But look, what's the price doing? We all might have seen the US debt clock has rolled to zero in the last 7 days. Has that meant anything to anybody? Have you seen anything significant happen? Was it really the US debt clock, or was it a private website offering a countdown of types? A lot of interesting questions. I cannot quite fathom answers to any of them. Now, this is an interesting thing. Bill Hilly, thank you. Stop relying on the internet. Get yourself UHF radio. Sir Joe banned them in Queensland when he was Premier, as UHF was the social media of the day. You can talk about George Street corruption over free air. He's 100% right. There are a lot of people who have a ham radio license too. Now, ham radio broadcasters are not allowed to broadcast on the UHF or the CB bands, all that kind of thing. Otherwise, they get in all sorts of trouble and can lose their license. Now, these ham radio operators use the atmosphere to bounce their signal off, and they talk to people all over the world. They don't talk for long. All they seem to do is God love them. You have a bit of a chat. You say, oh, yeah, g'day, this is me. This is my radio sign. The weather here's all right, and hope things are going well with you. And then they move on. They don't have a social media interaction, if you like. It's a very quick interaction, because for a lot of them, it's about gathering names and places that they've spoken to all over the world at various different times. And they're not good for talking from one end of town to the other, because they are such high power aerials and transmitters. So that led me to thinking about what happens if we do have some kind of electromagnetic disturbance that destroys, fries all our computers, all our electrical circuits, Nothing will work. You won't be able to pump fuel out of a an empty service station. You won't be able to do anything without power. So, and it won't be a matter of it just coming back on after the effects of an EMP wear off, because they fry circuits. Things burn. They don't work again. So what would we do? How would we communicate? So I got to speaking with the man I know about HF radios, and that is Cherie's other half, Gary. He and his son are right into HF radios, and they are both licensed ham radio operators. He frowned at me when I started talking about CBs, but we started discussing a little kind of communication safety pack that maybe we should all look at trying to get. Something like that UHF radio that you were talking about. For people who have no idea about UHF or CB radios or the frequencies that they work on, much less how much power you need to operate one, what sort of distance they get, what is a repeater, although if all the circuits are fried, no repeaters are going to be working. How do we protect our radios or that communication so that we can talk to each other if such a thing happened? The only way I can think of doing it is a Faraday cage. So I haven't looked. I'm sure there are Faraday cage type things available. But maybe, and here's an idea for anybody who wants to go and make money and stop accusing me of it, about time we maybe put together a Faraday cage pack that has a radio, maybe some first aid equipment in there, some water purification tablets maybe, anything other electrical that we might want to keep. Mobile phones won't be much use, bearing in mind anything electrical you want to keep safe inside a Faraday cage. you got to make sure everybody else has got that kind of thing too. Otherwise, what are you going to be communicating to? So maybe that's something, an enterprising person with a few bucks can do. Part of the freedom movement, something to help us all, keep the communication lines open. I know I'd be up for something like that. If I could put all my gear in a Faraday cage, I'd be very happy. Because, it's just going to, zap. Mark Unwin says, put them in a microwave oven. Okay, there is a certain amount of shielding, I guess, then coming from a microwave oven, but we're also being told that they're not good for us to be around, and they do emit, certain frequencies or radio waves or whatever. Makes us hurt. But that's something worth investigating, Mark. Thank you very much. I think that's a bloody great idea. A generator, but if the generator is not inside, then the little electric spark bit that you need, the wire that runs or the little electric something, isn't going to work because it'll be welded to itself or it will have been fried or whatever. So, yes, I think a generator could work if it's made like a steam generator. No electricity required, no spark required, just a flame and fire them up. I saw a tractor pull the other day with a steam engine tractor pull. My God, it's not the kind of thing you do in Australia, folks. Can I just say? Because there was sparks shooting out of the chimney of this thing. Must have been going 30, 40 meters in the air. And if there was any kind of wind blowing anywhere, you'd set the whole district on fire. But my God, it looked spectacular. So that's another one. Folks, go and give it a bit of a look. If maybe it's an idea for you, I'm not in a position to do it. So I give to you. That's what I do. It's not about me. It never has been. These fucktards chasing me for it. I'm getting a huge amount of enjoyment out of it. CB's worthy internet back then, Robert. Yeah, I remember when a guy in my street got a CB and I was allowed to go to his place and watch him talk on it. I wasn't allowed to talk on it, but he was. And it was really cool because we got to talk to the cool guys in the panel vans that had CB radios in their panel vans. It leads me back to a story where I was working on radio one day in Hamilton in Western Victoria. We were broadcasting a football game that was coming from Portland. And I was sitting in the studios pushing the buttons, making sure the ads played at the appropriate times. And all of a sudden, through the monitors, I heard, I don't know, if you are offended by bad language, then block your ears or something. But I heard this come through the monitors in the on-air studio. The monitors being the speakers, we listen to everything. And it was coming in through the off-air program. So we're listening to what you're listening to on the radio rather than what's coming out of the studio. And I hear this, yeah, this is Blue Angel. Anybody? I've got 12 inches of love meat. Anybody want to come and suck it and fuck it? You can imagine being on a commercial radio station, and I don't know, I was probably 19 or 20 at the time. That's not the kind of thing you expect to come out of your radio. And I was a bit dismayed about that. While I was trying to figure out where the hell it had come from, because I never played it, and I'm pretty confident the guy calling the football down in Portland never said it. Where the hell did it come from? There were 2 or 3 more calls like that before I eventually figured out the only thing it could be. And we had technicians running everywhere. We eventually had to, because it was before the days of mobile phones. So we had to take the game off the air because there was so much bad language going to air. So we had to take the game off the air. I basically started playing songs and ads. The fella calling the football game was the radio station manager. And the only way that he had to contact me in the station to find out what the hell was going on, because he couldn't hear what was coming out of the radio. He was listening to a straight feed coming out of his calling box. And he wasn't hearing what was coming out of the radio. He didn't know why he'd been taken off the air. So being the station manager, a bit angry, but no mobile phone. He had to run downstairs and try and find a phone somewhere in the football club rooms to ring me on, where I politely described what the hell was going on. And we figured out eventually that there was a panel van that was parked beside our outside broadcast line, which is telecom line that they used to string, and it's quite large, 5-foot long whip aerial was resting against our broadcast line. So every time this Blue Angel hit his transmit button, it transmitted straight into our broadcast line and got sent straight up the line to us. So that was a bit of a lesson for swearing on the radio and what CB radios can do. But yeah, maybe we should look at doing that. And if you come up with one, I'm happy to promote it for you here on the Voice of Freedom. And I will buy one, in fact, because I want to be able to communicate, if nothing else. There were a couple of other things I wanted to touch on. Oh, no, I've done that one. No, I've done that one too. All right, yeah. So, okay, that was the biggest thing I really wanted to play on tonight was the QFS and urge you to learn a little bit more about blockchain, about Stellar, about wallets, about what a stabilized coin is, what a bridge coin is, or a bridging coin is. This is another interesting bit that I, once again, don't fully understand, but you use bridging coins to transfer your assets from, if you like, a stabilized coin to another stabilized coin, or to a person you are paying for a good or service. At least that's my basic understand of it. So I do hope that we will have access to, like I say, a pro to talk about that in the not too distant future. Tomorrow night, I have no guarantee because I haven't asked him yet and I don't know what he's doing, but I am going to invite John Wilson on. That will probably make it a Rumble-only show for Friday night, but I think John has got quite a few interesting things to bring us up to speed on. Canberra next week is, the thing I'm going down for initially will be this AMPS conference on the 7th, but right from the 6th through to the 12th, there are different things planned as, I guess, a bit of a celebration of 12 months in Canberra for the Canberra Standers, and a reunion has been called for the 12th. So if you're of a mind, then go along and support the Canberra Standers. I'm going to be there. I will catch up with Dan and the crew for sure. And I'm not sure how long I'm going to be staying in Canberra, but if there is something there that we need to be there for, then trust me, myself or the Galactic Larrikins will be there to play with them. You just want to... look, I'll tell him this. I think he thought you were a bit more of a man than that, Bill, but there's nothing wrong with hugging. We do it all the time. So glad he's become a Christian. Yep. I tell you what, he's not just a warrior for Christ. He is a fierce warrior for Christ. And I get empowered by him every time I talk to him. And I have been lucky enough to be able to spend a little bit of time with him. And to be able to talk with him face to face is also more inspiring than you would believe. I think it's going to be great. I haven't mentioned, of course, what Dave and Ricardo are doing, running for the New South Wales Upper House from memory. I think it's a bloody good plan. Get behind them, folks. Show the world, show Australia that there is support for this. Okay? Now, what you think they might be able to achieve in there is it doesn't matter, is non-consequential. If we can get them in there, then things can be achieved. Don't worry about what can be achieved. Let's just get them there, one step at a time. What is wrong with having a voice or two voices for us in the New South Wales Upper House? Will they be able to stop legislation going through, unjust legislation? I don't know. Don't know how the New South Wales Upper House works. Will they be able to get an eye on how the deep state and the politicians work? Bloody oath they will. Will they have certain access to certain things that we, the people, don't have access to because they are state members? Of course they will. And do you think they're going to keep those things to themselves if it's detrimental to the people? I seriously doubt it. So I believe that the figure required to gain a seat in the upper house, and because Dave and Ricardo both live in and around Sydney, the upper house, I believe, is a statewide race. So there may not be any other A1 people running or A1 supported independents running. However, that means that everybody in New South Wales gets to vote for who is standing, and Dave and Ricardo's names will be on there. And you can link, I believe, in some fashion your vote for them so that they give each other the preference, or however that works in New South Wales. Wouldn't it shake them up, folks? Wouldn't it shake them up? Can you imagine Dave walking around the streets in Parliament, walking around the corridors in Parliament, and when he gets told he can't have something, can you imagine the shit fight he will create to make sure that we get access to it? I don't think you could get a better bloke. And if you're looking for somebody to take on the upper echelons, well, Ricardo walking around in there, I think you'll see a few wilting politicians. That's what I think you'll see walking down the corridor. It'd be like watching the school bully come towards you down the corridor at school. You just sort of try and blend back into the lockers as he walks past, because you do not want that gaze upon you, and you certainly do not want him asking questions you do not want to answer. So I think it would be an amazing effort to get them in. So get behind them, folks. Absolutely get behind them. You don't have to worry about what they can create once they're in there. Just worry about getting them in there and keeping the bastards honest. That's going to be the big thing. I guess I think I heard that they have a plan afoot to have people register their either intention to vote for them or to take a photo of their vote, which I think would be the best way to do it, to be honest. Anybody can write, I have an intention to vote for you, and then not do it on the day. And if you're registering that on a website and it just happens to get, hacked, and there is just even the smallest data breach, all right? It doesn't have to be anything personal. It doesn't have to be anything. It just has to show that, they got your email that said, yeah, I voted for you, and here's the picture of it. That would then destroy the validity of the whole process of that, because it's been hacked once, it's been hacked 100 times, or could have been. So it removes its strength. But if you were to attach a picture of the ballot, of your ballot, that will have metadata attached to it. Then you see, so you could do that in pre-poll voting. You could do that, I guess, as postal, and you can do it at the ballot box. So if I had any advice, and if they haven't thought of it already, that would be what I would do. I would ask people on the day when they vote to take a photo of it and send it in. Register that at a website and hang on to that, because that is a very, very good way of tracking how many people you got, as long as you can keep it secure. And you've got the metadata from the photo to confirm where, when, and at what time it was taken. They're not just photoshopped. So, just thinking about that. Yes, that is another bloody good thought, Bill. New South Walesmen should take a pen, use a pen, not a pencil. We should all do that. And you get some, dweeb in a bloody safety uniform telling you can't use a pen. Tell them to jam it up their ass. And then go and find a supervisor and get your vote guaranteed to be counted because it's filled in pen, not dismissed because it's filled in pen, because that has happened again. Been drinking again? No, just a little bit of cordial today. So sorry, Inner 666, you devilish little thing, you. God, these twerkers have come over again. It's been interesting. I got an email from the thing the other day saying, I gave you all this support. I went over and had a look at the Twitch site. It has 1,800 members, and apparently it had 1,700 members before that show that night. So I think I'm helping you. So there you go. Email a pic to yourself and another data point. Yeah, that's probably a good one too, Freeze. These are all good suggestions. So I hope Dave and Ricardo's crew, I'm sure they're all over it. I mean, Ricardo's got quite a team behind him. I'm sure that they have these sorts of things in mind. It's keeping it secure. Got to keep it secure. Lefty, I'll check my email, but not right now. Or do I have to check it right now? Makes it very difficult talking, checking things. I'm a man. I do one thing at a time, sometimes well, sometimes not. Doing two things at the same time, very difficult for a man like me. Walking and talking, I seem to have mastered, but even then, that can be dangerous. I've dislocated my knee 2 or 3 times doing that. Inner 66. What are you going to educate me on? I don't know that there's anything I want to be educated by you on. Inner 66. 666. I should say, not 66. Let's get it right. It's interesting too that the that satanic number has come up a few times this week in communications with people in that realm. Okay. In fact, it's basically on the end of just about every one of the email addresses I get. And they're just too stupid to realize that we figured it out. And it's all over, folks. I'm sorry for you, 666. It ain't going to be played. You dug up a pic from me from River 949. Oh, shit, Lefty. All right, give me a minute. Which email did you send it to? That'll be the question. Oh, shit. Oh, righto, Lefty. Now I know who you are. Thanks, buddy. Appreciate it. Oh, freak. All right. Let's see if I can share this, because I know there are people that probably don't believe I was ever in radio. I'm not into sharing pictures of myself, but I tell you, I will show you this one because Lefty has done, well, he's got more pictures of me than I have. Let's just say that. I'm trying to find it. There you go. Bang. That's a picture of me. Oh, God, when did River launch? So River 949 is a Brisbane radio station that prior to River was called Star FM, and prior to that was called QFM. And I'd worked at all incarnations of it. This photo was taken, I would say, before the official launch of River 949, which Sophie and the girls from Bardo came and did a concert for us at South Bank in Brisbane. That's about all I remember. I think I had a few drinks with Sophie, but I had a lot more drinks than she did, and because that was, the halcyon days. But the reason I think this was before the official launch is because it was launched around October of whatever year it was, 2000 and I don't know, maybe 2, maybe 1. And it was launched around Indie time. And I used to be the host of Indie FM TV for 14 years. If you came to the Indie event on the Gold Coast, I was the bloke in the box talking to you. And at those events, there is always a Gillette sponsorship, usually with the V8 supercars involved. And we get the Gillette girls up into the commentary box, and we all get together and have a bit of a chat, and we plug Gillette. And then they say, would anybody like a shave? So I knew that River 949 was launching in that, well, it looks red behind the 949. It's an orange, very much like the... And I thought, well, I'm going to stand out when we launch because my name was the Fat Man on the air, believe it or not. It was a warm, caring, sharing boss. So I let them use a Gillette razor to shave my head, and they left enough of a mohawk here to be dyed that bright orange color. Lefty, thank you for not having a photo of that, my friend. I appreciate that. Yeah, I know we've just sent our mutual friend Chapo mad. He's going to go and start digging out frames of videos, the bastard. But anyway, I don't have to show them. So there you go. That is an old photo of me, folks. So once, yes, I did used to be on the radio, believe it or not. Pulling shifts, not just reading ads. You've thrown me with that one, Lefty. Thank you. You've got a photo of the... That's for another night. We're not showing the mohawk, all right? Not showing the mohawk tonight. You and I are going to have words. I'm coming to Ipswich soon. In fact, I'm catching up with another mutual friend of ours, DSFT. In fact, I owe him a phone call. I need to get on the phone to him tonight. Yeah, you want to see the mohawk. Laura tells a very funny story about the mohawk because it must have been about Christmas time when she came up to see me. I get her for Christmas holidays sort of thing. And I kept the mohawk going, obviously, for some time. She didn't know anything about it. And at the time was probably 8 or 9, 10 years old. I've met her at the airport and I've got a cap on. and she is running to me. It's one of those, beautiful scenes. She's running up the airwalk to me, dragging the air hostie behind her because she's flying unaccompanied. And I'm standing there waiting for her to run into my arms. And she gets to, 5 meters away from me, and I take my hat off and bend down to her. And she stops dead and looked at me, and then just got this really shitty look on her face and walked straight past me, said, "I'm not talking to you. I'm not talking to you. Put your hat on. I'm not talking to you." And that's all I got all the way out of the airport. "How could you do that, Dad?" "Oh, Dad, how awful." So, yeah, she wasn't a big fan. Now, I must have missed the front part of that, but now you're speaking my language. 33, 45, and 78. It's two sides. But do any of you know what an inside-out spinner is? That's another radio story I'll tell you about one day. Not tonight. But an inside-out spinner, just an horrendous thing for somebody who doesn't know what they're dealing with, can I tell you? And it will screw up your radio shift 26 ways from Sunday if you do not know how to use it. But, that's all part of the fun of learning, isn't it? You get to learn skills in everything we do. We all make mistakes. And another topic that I want to get into briefly, because I want to do more about this, and it leads into it nicely, is forgiveness. Forgiveness. It's a big thing, forgiveness, and it needs to play a much greater role in all of our lives. We cannot evolve. We cannot step forward into what is next unless we can forgive. And a good man said to me yesterday, as part of a great many good things he said to me, was that we have to forgive ourselves first. And I said to him, I find that hard. I think I forgive myself, I said, but I still feel guilty about certain things. And as I said in the show, if I was to meet somebody that I have in here and the list in my head that I did wrong, I will unequivocally apologize and ask for forgiveness. I don't expect forgiveness. And that's the nice thing about forgiveness. You can give it. You don't have to expect it. We need to get deeper into forgiveness, folks. We need to understand forgiveness at its base level, because soon we are going to be asked to do a lot of forgiving. A lot of forgiving. And we have a traumatized nation. We have a traumatized world. Some of us are more awake than others. Some of us think we're wide awake, but I am sure there are horrors yet to be exposed that will shock us to our core again. We are leading the pack in understanding what is coming. That doesn't make us, too much more special than anybody else, but it does put upon us, encumber us with a certain responsibility to those who haven't woken up, that are woken up, wildly, madly, red-pilled. When whatever happens, happens. They're going to come to us and they're going to want forgiveness for what they've done. They're going to understand, maybe not to the full extent, but they're going to understand many levels what's been done to them, how it's been done to them. They're going to feel guilt. They're going to feel humiliation. They're going to feel a great deal of anger. Some of that anger may well be directed towards people like us, unfortunately. Be prepared for that, but be prepared to forgive it. Protect yourself. Don't put yourself in danger. But understand, these people, already traumatized, are in for the biggest traumatization in the history of the world. So are we. We think we're ready for it. We are encouraging it to come. Please, God, make it happen tomorrow. Be careful what we wish for. The world could be much more different to even what we think it is. So let's keep an open mind as we move forward. And let's always be willing to forgive. And start with ourselves. Because you can't forgive someone else until you can forgive yourself, as I was told yesterday. So maybe I've got to restart my list. But every apology and every ounce of forgiveness I've asked for has been done so as genuinely as I could at the time. And in God's eyes, I don't think I could have done it better. And that's humility too, folks. We've all got to learn humility. We have to understand and accept that when we make decisions, those decisions have consequences, and we must take responsibility for our decisions. There is very little responsibility in today's society, and our courts are not making people responsible for their decisions. In many cases, they're abdicating their responsibility and allowing these people back out on the streets to commit more heinous crimes. This is something I find hard to forgive, but we're going to have to find a way. There will be justice. Don't think we're going to forgive people and let them get off what's happened. The worst of these people will be publicly tried. Nuremberg 2.0 is a thing. I would urge all my mainstream media friends to not scoff at Nuremberg 2.0, but look at how many journalists were hanged just for doing their jobs. Just for doing their jobs. They weren't evil, they weren't horrible, but they weren't questioning either. They went along with it, went along with the narrative, turned a blind eye, took a bribe, whatever. Some of them just didn't know. Didn't matter though, and it won't matter in Nuremberg 2.0. So when the likes of Ben Fordham, who, and let's talk about that for a bit. So what happened with Guru last Monday and Ben Fordham? I heard a little bit of audio about them saying the radio station has a code of practice that they must adhere to. That is perfectly correct. I believe some of the points that were read out included that the radio station must give right of reply, not quite in so many words, but must give a balanced perspective of two sides of the argument, so to speak, yada, 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 yada. I would point out quite simply that nowhere in the Code of Conduct does it say the radio station has to give Dave Graham airtime. Dave Graham wasn't the topic of the interview. He was used, or a grab of his was used in an example of the type of cooker, if you like, that this woman was trying to push. So he wasn't, if you like, a large or direct part of the initial interview. Now, once it's been identified that somebody wants to go and have a rebuttal, if you like, or wants to come on and speak in favour of the option that the other one was coming out against, then it's incumbent upon the radio station, not just 2GB, but any radio station, as part of their licensing requirements, to make sure that the person they're putting on isn't either A, going to break any broadcast rules or bring the station into disrepute, B, that they have to talk to that person, unless they specifically targeted you in an interview and you wanted to have right of reply, then yes, you do. But in that particular interview, Dave wasn't the target of the interview, so therefore that particular part of the Code of Conduct doesn't apply to him. The Code of Conduct says that yes, it should give a reply within a time frame. It doesn't specify that time frame. That means that they can sit back and evaluate who comes out of the woodwork to talk to, or whether or not they'll talk to anyone. And I think that's probably what 2GB are doing. They are not going to put Dave on because in the license requirement, they specifically won't allow you to put people on who call for terrorist actions on home soil. And I find this to be an extremely weak, flimsy excuse used by the radio station to block Dave. The comment that they're using against him is to blow up Parliament House and leave it as a 9/11 monument. That comment has been taken out of context, and he didn't say that. at all. If you listen to the front part of what he said, it's the last part changes completely. Context in this matter is everything, but the radio station doesn't care. It doesn't need to have any further justification than those comments that they've played, and that is it. They don't have to have him on the radio station, and I seriously doubt they will. That doesn't mean that other media outlets won't. And certainly now that he's running for the New South Wales Upper House, maybe there is a chance with Ben Fordham to get him back on. Doesn't seem like they're going to be friends if Ben started up the war again today. So, the code of conduct is very specific, and it's very specific for a reason. It doesn't give you any of those rights. It just says the radio station will get around to it, and they'll get around to it on their terms. It's their airtime. They pay for it. They own it. They pay for the license. So you must understand that anything in that realm is done on their time frame and to their advantage all the time. I wouldn't expect Dave on 2GB unless it is maybe because of this election. They probably still use it as an excuse not to have him on there and not publicise him, which I think is probably what both Ricardo and Dave are going to struggle with. That is getting any sort of promotion through mainstream media, letting people know that they are available to be voted for right throughout New South Wales, from Tweed Heads to the other end of Eden. I don't know what's on the Victorian New South Wales border, and all parts in between. Everybody can put a vote in for Ricardo and Dave. So I would urge you to do that. If you're in New South Wales, I would urge you to do that. 4.5% of the vote, I think, is what's required. And the way that I heard it explained the other day is that if, let's say, Dave was to get 4% of the vote and Ricardo got 5% of the vote, he could give 0.5% to Dave, which would give him 4.5%, and they would go together then into the upper house. So together, that's 9% of New South Wales. 9% of the New South Wales vote. Come on, folks. Get behind them. Remember that crack? This could be the next sledgehammer blow that takes out a huge chunk of the cornerstone. So get behind them. Get behind them. I don't think we can ask for much more. Yeah, Elizabeth, I'm right. Yeah, I'm with you. Love to see them both on Sunrise. I would love to see them both on Q&A, just between you and me. I would love to see Bosie on Q&A. I think David handled himself pretty well there too. I don't know how the ABC would be after it all suffered, but yeah, anyway. Yes, I think you're right, Pineapple. Going to be incredible, the mass arrests in Australia and then the public trials. And they will be very public trials. Our media friends think it's going to be a trial where one of their judges is going to work. One of their judges is going to be on trial with them. So these will be military tribunals. The way that military tribunals work is that you go in the morning, the prosecution presents its case against you to the court martial, or the martial court, which way you put it. There's 3 or 4 officers sitting there listening to all testimony. Then they'll break for lunch. Then you come back, you give your afternoon of testimony. They render a verdict, guilty or innocent. You are marched out if you are found guilty. You are given your last meal, your last cigarette, your last words, and you are shot. All on the one day. That's how military tribunals are working. So have a good defense. And let's face it, my mainstream media friends, with a whole year of tax-free revenue coming to your bosses, a whole year tax-free, you might be able to afford a really good lawyer to fight for you that afternoon. Good luck with that. I hope that comes through for you. But, yep, people are going to be made to answer. And there's going to be some pretty big public displays of justice. It's the only way to describe it. And I'm not being bloodthirsty about this. Nobody wants to go and line up like the oldie days and watch people die. But in this case, once the true apparent nature of what they've done to us becomes clear to everybody, hanging them publicly is going to be too good for them. Far too good for them. Yeah, Dave. Yep, this is a good point. More important about what's under Parliament House than what's in it. Yeah, you're right. And in fact, that is exactly what Dave Graham was referring to when he said, blow the place up, let's see what's under it. Or I want to see what's under it, what's hidden underneath this place. Blow it up and let's make it a 9/11 monument, I think he said, something along those lines. So that actually gives you some context to what he was saying and how he was saying it. He was talking about what is coming and what is underneath Parliament House. So, yeah, interesting stuff. All right. I think I've probably talked enough tonight. Gone an hour and 25. You've been wonderful to stick with me, folks, for as long as you have. I thank you very much. As always, vofhq.com. If you want to come along and support us, be a member. You can do so for $1.25 a week, I think it is, or whatever you like. There is gold, silver, platinum, and I think something else there you can help with. If you don't want to be a member, but you want to donate, there's a donate button there too. Entirely up to you. Everything we do and get from you folks goes into fuel. And, well, I don't know what the price of fuel is at the moment, but I got another 3 tanks to find to get to Canberra and then another 3 tanks to find to get back. But we'll figure all that out. It's going to be a very good event Tuesday night, the AMPS event coming live on Voice of Freedom and a couple of other channels. That's all happening next Tuesday night coming from Canberra. If you are in Canberra, get along to it and stay tuned to the Voice of Freedom and everybody else because there is a few things happening in Canberra that week. And if you want to come along and be part of them, we would absolutely love to see you there. Tomorrow night, fingers crossed, John's available and I'll be able to sneak him into the show. It will more than likely be a Rumble show, but for those of you watching on YouTube channels now, I will do a little one and I'll post up the link to the Rumble channel because I know some people have trouble finding it at times. Have yourself a great night, folks. If you're on the roads out there tomorrow, make sure you avoid those dickheads.
You let one ant stand up to us, then they all might stand up. Those puny little ants outnumber us 100 to 1. And if they ever figure that out, there goes our way of life. It's not about food. It's about keeping those ants in line. That's why we're going back. Does anybody else want to stay? Let's ride!